Alright. Get this hooked up here. Okay. Looks like I got the audio connected. All right, guys. I appreciate you guys joining me. Today we're going to talk about, uh, as always, things related to human capital, but wanted to go over some things with you. So decided to do this live broadcast to give you guys some more additional information. Apologize, we having the weather situation that's going on currently in this great state of Texas. So let me got the heat working up pretty good. So let me try to get a little bit comfortable here as we discuss our topic for today. Now I'll get the audio back adjusted. Okay, hopefully you guys can hear me just fine. So wanted to go over what I wanted to discuss for today. Again, mostly it's about the planning system, but what I really want to talk about is how to use the planning system. So the planning system is going to be coming out next week. Well, going to be out soon. So the planning system is coming out on January 15th is the scheduled release date for the Dr. George planning system. And wanted to get a chance to actually go over how to actually use it. But mostly to talk about the motivation for having the planning system to begin with. So the motivation for the planning system involves a couple of things. So the biggest one is how to stop making the same mistake over and over again. So let's start off like this, guys. So if you ever, whether you're a student or professional, and if you ever found yourself in situations where um, either a coworker or a situation on the job uh, got you to go out of your character, got you to realize that, you know what, this is not exactly the way I was envisioning my career to go or handling certain situations. And you're like, okay, yeah, the situation I'm finding myself in involving either a coworker or a situation on the job that's calling into character or whether or not you want to pursue this profession. So recently, I've been working with a group of students, helping them try to figure out what their career goals are. So this is where this sort of came up as. Some of them expressed some fears and concerns about what if they go into a career and they decide they don't like it, whether it's the people or the task they're being asked to do. Something about their career that they thought was going to be enjoyable, now they're experiencing and it's not. Um, so how do you overcome that? How do you handle going into a situation and then you realize on that job you have made some mistakes or you had some different interpretations, and now whether it's being written up or you just being reprimanded or you being asked to change your way of approaching that particular task. How do you go about doing it? Okay. And so that's part of what the planning system was designed for. But let's talk about it. Okay. So how do you go about handling those particular situations? Well, to start off with, um, keep in mind if it's just a one-off, and then sometimes people describe one-offs as situations that doesn't happen often. It's only for this one time. If it's truly a one-off, no problem. The problem is when it's not a one-off. If it's just a one-off, you can continue with the career, get past the situation, and you don't have to worry about that kind of situation again. The problem is when that situation continues over and over and over again, you keep finding yourself in the same situation. So, how do you handle that? Well, you got to keep track of what that situation was. So you may not have saw it coming, You may have thought you're supposed to do A, you have to do B. You may have been involved in a group project, and you thought you was going to be able to do just your section, group of 4 people. You're supposed to do A, the other people to do B, C, and D. It turns out somebody's not carrying their weight, and you end up doing the work of that you're supposed to be assigned, part A, and you also find yourself doing B and C, or sometimes even D, doing the whole entire project yourself. Um, how do you overcome that? How do you proceed through that? Is what we're talking about right now. Way you handle it is, if it's gonna not be a one-off, you got to keep track of it. So I encourage people to do journaling. So actually take a notation, take a notebook, indicate what your expectation was going into that project, indicate what the situation is that changed, and then indicate the outcome of how you actually proceeded through that situation. Now, most people tell you those 3 things. What did you expect? What happened? And how did you end up getting out of it? Or how do you end up working through it? Whether it was you doing all the work, or bringing on talking to the manager, whatever that situation is that got resolved, even if it was you doing all the work, write that down. Okay. Now that you got those items written down, I'm gonna add a extra step that most people don't add, and that is, what would you have done differently? So that when if that situation happens again, how would you advise your future self and how to handle that situation? And this came up mostly as people talk about, well, how would you advise your younger self? Well, here's another idea, another way of looking at it. How would your younger self advise yourself in the future? So now that you've gone through this situation that has either caused you to be written up or caused you to do more work than you intended, what would you tell your future self about that situation? How would you handle it? And number one, um, what were some of the warning signs that you saw this happening? So, for example, in that group project example, where I said that you were supposed to be doing part A, you end up doing B and C as well. If there was some information that was given to you ahead of time about, hey, a person B or person C is known not to do the work, and you may have to carry the load. If that information was given to you ahead of time, then how would you have proceeded? And if the information wasn't given to you ahead of time, you are now giving it to yourself in the future. So your current self, is telling your future self what you would do differently if ever assigned inside a group with those individuals again. It may be being more defined about the rules. So in the very first meeting, you iterate that, hey guys, I'm only doing part A, you're supposed to do B and C. We're going to hold each other accountable, and we need you to do B by a certain date, a certain time, and so we can see the progression. And why are we asking you B and C to do that? Because you guys have had a history of not doing it. And to help A and D, me being A and my other group partner being D, we need to know that you're carrying the weight of this load so that we don't have to split the load and carry it ourselves. So it may be that. Or it may just be having a heart-to-heart talk with the people that's doing it. So whatever the situation is, whatever your action plan is for handling that situation, write that down. So that's your step 4. So again, step 1 is, what was your expectation getting into this situation? Part 2 is, what happened during the situation? Part 3 is, what was the outcome? Like, how did you overcome it? And part 4 is, what would you do differently? Put that information down, write it down on paper, and mostly for yourself in your own journal. That would help you sort of recognize in the future. This also helps you grow professionally and helps you grow academically. Okay. So that was one of the main things I wanted to talk about, which is how to not make the same mistake over and over again. I'm reading this off because I try to take notes where so I can have some make sure you covered certain points I covered with you guys. That's the number one main thing, is how to make sure you're not making the same mistake over and over again. For those of you guys who I spoke to before, you notice I have 2 pet peeves: inefficiency and bureaucracy. So the inefficiency piece is what I'm talking about there. Another stuff is how to not let others take advantage of your time. Um, this was a little bit more tricky because you don't really know if a person is coming to you with something that is urgent and important that you need to and take action on right then, or if the person is coming with you something that's not urgent or not important, um, that you can push off or that maybe you can delegate. You don't know that until you hear it. So, how do you stop letting people take advantage of your time? Is Um, some people can give you that information straight, simple. I'm looking to have looking for someone to help me with A, B, C, and D. That's great. Or hell, listen, someone help me with X, Y, and Z. And they will tell you, and then you can decide if you were able to help them out. If you not, or if you know somebody that's better equipped, you can refer them to it to that other person. That's if the person is straightforward and asking you what their situation is. I need help with X, Y, and Z. What if they not straightforward and asking you, "Hey, I need help with X, Y, and Z, and are you able to help?" If they not that straightforward, what if there's a story behind it before they actually get to what they're actually looking for? If you have that kind of coworker, if you're in that kind of situation where the person does not is not straightforward, can sometimes slow down the process on how they ask you questions. Um, Take forever to give you the information that you're looking for in order to make a decision. If you come across that kind of person, maybe it's best, just a suggestion, but maybe it's best to have the person actually write down their request down or send it to you in the form of an email or send it to your phone request. It does a couple of things. Number one, it helps you with your time because now you can skim through the readout in order to see what is actually more important and try to prioritize. But it also helps the other person too, because sometimes people have a hard time getting their ideas and thoughts in a sequential order. So having them actually put that in writing allows them a way in which to organize their own thoughts. And it may be possible that while they're writing that down, they may actually discover the solution themselves. So again, two parts: how to stop making the same mistake over and over again, and how to stop letting people take advantage of your time. Again, not making mistakes over and over again requires you to write down what the situation, what the expectation is before you got in the situation, what happened during that situation that caused you to say, "Hey, something's off?" And then 3 is how did you rectify that? How did you get out of it? Did you end up doing more work? Did you end up delegating? How did you get out of the situation? And 4 is what would you tell your future self to help save time and be more efficient on that situation in the future? And then, of course, how to stop letting people take advantage of time. Have them actually write down what it is they're asking for, so that they can figure out the better way to actually organize themselves, maybe even solve it. But also, if they do cannot solve it and they do end up sending it to you, it will have some kind of order, some kind of format in which you can work on and decide if you need to delegate it. Okay. The third step that I want to discuss, and there's 4 total, but the third step is how to learn from other people's mistakes. The fourth one is how to learn from your own experiences. These sort of work together. So, how to learn from other people's mistakes and how to learn from your own experience is in part that journal that I was indicating before for your own experience. Write down your experiences and how you dealt with them, but also how do you learn from other people's experiences, other people's mistakes. M- Most of the time, for my newer students that's getting ready to go into the workforce, for the ones that's already in the workforce in their first year, usually they'll either assign you with a mentor or somebody will approach you and give you guidance. Now, they may not call themselves mentor. You may not want to give them that formal title, but there may be somebody there that either doing what you're doing or doing what you would like to do in the future and have taken an interest into your progression inside that company or organization. They may actually share some knowledge with you about their experiences that it may not all be positive. They may tell you, hey, this happened to me. If they share with you any negative experiences or things that they wish they could do differently, write those things down. You may not be able to write them down right when they're telling you, but somewhere within that 24 hours to 48-hour time block, take some time out, write down what they actually described that they would do differently, and what the situation is. And somewhere in their story or somewhere in their explanation of what the challenge that they faced was would have been some kind of recognition that they should have saw it coming. Usually, most people that's mentors, when they tell you a story about something they done that was either not right or they got caught up in something, they wish they could do it differently. Most of the time, they would tell you, "Man, I really should have saw that coming." And if they tell you that and they give you some clues of what they should have recognized as it coming, go ahead and write that down. Say, hey, these are things I need to watch out for. When I see these things happening, there's some action I need to take. And use your mentor's advice, whatever the advice that they gave you about how they would have handled it differently or how they handled it after that situation. Write those things down so you can know for the future. Again, as you can tell, there's a general theme here. The general theme is journaling, writing down the experiences that you have had and others have had, writing down there any Was there any warning signs? Were there any indications that things was about to go array or different than what you expected? Write those things down. Write those down and then write down how you will handle those in the future. Keep the record. What you would find out is that most things happen more than once. When it pops up again, go back to your journal. Look, say, I think I experienced this once before. I think the same thing happened last spring. Go back to your journal. You would have had them in some date order. Go back to the journal. Go back to that time frame. Say, yeah, yeah, something like this happened before, or this happens every month. Every month this happens. Gee, let me go ahead and put a plan together for it. That way I can handle it next time. So next time it pops up, and someone comes to you and say, "Hey, we got this." Order that we wasn't expecting, gave it to us at the last minute. They give it to you at the last minute last year around this time, so it was nothing new to you. So this order came in at the last minute. Can you find a way to get this order fulfilled or whatever the case is? And you now have to, I think I can handle this. You go back to your notes, you realize, oh, okay, this is what happened last time. And this is what I told myself in the future. Yeah, maybe I need to call Sally in the other department. She was able to help me out last time. But before I called Sally in the other department last time, I had to call Becky, Susie, and Tom before I got to Sally. This time I know Sally's the one that actually can help us. So let me go right to Sally and save myself the time, the effort, and the headache by going through people that couldn't help and actually go to the one to help. And maybe I wrote down what Sally actually told me to do. And maybe I don't even need to contact Sally anymore. Maybe based on what Sally told me, I can get some action plans I can actually do this time around. Now you are making efficiency being known to the people above you. And that puts you on a higher level because other people did not write these things down, did not take the time to journal, and now they're experiencing these situations and they don't know how to handle them. But you have now set yourself apart from others, and now you're able to be the problem solver. They don't know that you had been keeping a journal of these things all along, and you have now created your own what I used to call in my previous job of the super duper book, the book that keeps all the information from the past, so you don't have to experience doing it over and over again. So those are some helpful things that can help you guys out. Again, those four things is how do you how do you avoid making the same mistake over and over again? How do you stop people from basically wasting your time? And how do you learn from from others' mistakes? And how do you learn from your own experiences? And again, like I said, this all ties back to the Dr. George planning system. Most planners get it wrong. So let me reiterate that one more time. Most planners get that wrong. So let me reiterate again one more time. Most planners get this wrong. They'll have either a to-do list or calendar, which is great if you know what you got to do at what time. You got some kind of future date that you got to remember, some activity or event that you know you got to go to that others are involved in, and so you got heads up on those and you write those down. That's great. Everybody got that. What the Dr. George planning system does, it allows you an avenue or a way to not only do that, but keep track of the lessons you learned at those events and activities, because that is the most important thing. Wasn't that you had an event at 2 o'clock last week on a Tuesday? No, it's what did you learn at 2 o'clock or 2:15, 15 minutes into that event last Tuesday that you may have to experience because you got to see those same people again a month from now on Wednesday at 3 o'clock. Well, the time and the day doesn't really make that much of a difference. It makes a difference so you can be there on time, but what do you need to know? Well, I know now that last time I didn't bring the XYZ report. And they was asking questions about the XYZ report, but they said they was going to ask questions about the ABC report. So all I had was the ABC report. I did not have the XYZ report. So when they asked the question, I wasn't prepared. But now that I know that's going to be what they're going to ask, even if they don't tell me ahead of time, I'm bringing the XYZ report. So when they ask that question next time, I have the answer. I won't look like I didn't have it 2 months in a row. So you're actually learning from your past experiences. That's one of the things that the Dr. George Planning System do. It helps you keep record of those things. And because of that, it's not just a calendar, it's not just a to-do list. It is a journal, it's a calendar, it's a to-do list, it's notes to yourself that you can refer back to. And I try to tell people don't think of it like a calendar system per se. Think of it more like a journal. Think of it more like keeping track of your what you have experienced and what you learned, so you can use that in the future. This will help your value on the job. This helps you as an employee. This helps you as a student because it shows people that you have the ability and the capability to learn from past mistakes. Nobody expects you to be perfect. Let me reiterate, because I got some type A students that I work with that believe everything's supposed to be 100%. Nobody expects you to be 100% all the time. There's a such thing as life. Go live it, okay? Um, but what they hope, especially if you're new, what they hope is that you have the ability, the capability, and the willingness to learn. Learning is the journey. It is not the destination. I'm sitting here with a doctorate degree, a master's degree, an undergraduate degree, a high school diploma. I got a lot of learning that I've already experienced. But guess what? I'm still learning. I'm still learning new things, and I'm look forward to learning new things. And as I'm learning new things, guess what? I'm using my own system. I'm writing it down. I got my own system that I'm using, that I'm writing down those experiences. I don't want to give away too much of it, but I'm actually am using my own system. And you can see it. I got dates and times, but I also got writings about events and things that I've learned at those events to help me keep track of what's going on. So I actually write some things down so I can learn from the past. That's what we're asking to do. So the company again is Neal Management Solutions NMS. What we do is help individuals unlock their value. This is one tool. I got others. Okay, they'll be coming out. But the first tool I'm introducing you guys to is the Dr. George Planning System. Nobody else has it. They got to-do lists, they got calendars, but having to-do lists and calendars is not the end goal. You also want to have the journal part. So I've got more videos that I actually show you that I'm going to actually put together and show you the actual pages of these things. So let's go through and show some examples of how to actually this works. But I wanted to share with you the motivation. The motivation for this is me hearing from people who I've helped tutor, I've helped coach, who have experienced to me the frustration of work-life balance, trying not to take work home with them, trying to not take home to work with them, and they finding themselves in similar situations that they had last year or last month, and they couldn't remember what happened, and they was frustrated. So part of the planning system, the motivation for the planning system is to help people with those things. These are smart individuals. If you give them a task, they can do a task. If you give them and say, "Hey, to do this final thing, you got to do one, two, three," they'll learn one, two, three, and they will do one, two, three. This is in life and in work and in school. People would throw curveballs at you, things that was not on the syllabus, things that were not in the job description, things that you did not plan for, things that they did not teach you in school, and now you're trying to learn on the job, and there's no curriculum for that. There's a curriculum and syllabus for school, but on the job, they give you a job description. Great, that doesn't help. You need to learn the steps, the non-formal, informal routine and processes, and that's what the Dr. George Planning System helps you with. That's what Neil Management Solutions helps students and professionals with. So I do, like I said, I do coaching sessions for students. I call them knowledge sessions related towards math and specific subject matters. But also, I'll do the coaching where I help them and for my employees, uh, especially my knowledge workers. So again, I work with students with knowledge sessions, but when they graduate and they go on and get a job, some of them like to get knowledge worker jobs, CPAs, lawyers, medical doctors, people that have to do that's getting paid for their brain, their knowledge, and all of a sudden these informal people to people situations happening on their job and they're trying to figure out how to navigate. And that's a little frustrating for them because they know how to build widgets. They went and learned the knowledge on how to be successful engineers and those type of things. But what they did not learn is what they did not teach is how to handle on the job situations. So that's what I hope coach them in. So again, thank you guys for listening in on the video. I got a couple more I want to share that goes into details about using the Planner system. I'll be releasing those out. I may do those pre-recorded as opposed to live, but that's what I got, guys. So outside of that, I appreciate you guys being around. I will say this is 2025, and that the planning system. Oh, I will say this: the planning system, like I said, released in January 15th. The videos I'll have will come out before then. But there's no dates on the planning system, so don't feel like you got to start on January 1st or February 1st. You can start it when my suggestion is start it when you get it. Okay, I have a whole slogan that I use. And I know some people may think is this is making it up, but literally on my phone, I have my whole song. I'm not sure if you guys can see that, but it says, "If not now, then when." That's my model for 2025. If not now, then when? So get the planning system when it gets released. I'll be getting more videos out on it. More importantly, use it. I don't care if you get it if you're not going to use it. In fact, let me put it out this: if you're not planning on using it, don't get it. Okay, but if you need a tool to help you, if you was planning on buying a journal, a calendar, a to-do list, and all that, this helps because it is in one spot. It's also designed to help people that want to actually do both, use electronic and paper. You can actually use electronic to help you out with some of the dates and time to use this more of a journal to keep track of that. Again, I'll go over that in future videos. So again, thank you guys. And I think I'm in close to my limit. I really didn't want to go beyond 30 minutes. Looks like we're around 26, 27. So I'll give you guys some time to end it early. But again, thank you for joining. And for those who follow me on my other platforms, usually I say is all things human capital. And thank you for joining. And by all means, don't hurt anybody, don't hurt yourselves, and be kind and nice to everyone that you meet because you never know. You may be going up the ladder, but you may have to meet those same people coming back down. Okay. All right. So thank you guys. Have a great day and happy 2025. We'll talk to you later. Peace.